The JFK airport was always buzzing with movement, but for Anna and Leah Carter, it was nothing more than a routine stop. Dressed in comfortable yet stylish athleisure, the 19-year-old twins walked side by side, their rolling suitcases gliding effortlessly over the polished floors. "I can't wait to land," Leah murmured, adjusting the strap of her backpack. "I swear, New York is suffocating sometimes." Anna smirked. "Says the girl who spent half the summer complaining about LA being too fake." Leah rolled her eyes. "Fake people and good weather? I'll take the latter." The two reached the Skywings Airlines first-class boarding gate, where a small queue was forming. Despite growing up as the daughters of Henry Carter, CEO of Skywings Airlines, the twins had never been ones to flaunt their wealth. Their father had raised them with an understanding of the world beyond their privilege, though that never seemed to matter to those who saw only their skin. First at the counter, Sonia Miller, a senior flight attendant, stood with her arms crossed. In her late 40s, she carried herself with an air of authority that often blurred into arrogance. She had worked for Skywings Airlines for over 20 years and had seen all kinds of passengers. In her mind, Anna and Leah didn't belong here. The twins approached, pulling out their boarding passes. "Excuse me, is this the..." Leah started, but Sonia didn't let her finish. "Economy is the other way," she said, her voice sharp, eyes scanning their casual outfits as if waiting for them to realize their mistake. Anna blinked. "We're flying first class." Sonia's lips pressed into a thin line. She glanced at their tickets, barely looking at them before shaking her head. "These must be mistakes." Leah frowned. "They're not." Sonia exhaled loudly, her patience visibly thinning. "Young ladies, I don't know how you got these, but these are not valid first-class tickets." Anna straightened. "What do you mean, not valid?" The attendant held up the tickets, shaking them slightly. "These aren't even scanned into the system." "Did someone give them to you?" Leah scoffed, her stomach tightening. "No, we bought them." Sonia let out a cold chuckle. "Enough of this. I don't know how you got past security, but you need to leave the line. First class is reserved for paying customers." A few murmurs spread among the passengers nearby, some glancing over. A man in a crisp navy blue suit adjusted his tie and looked away, pretending not to hear. A middle-aged woman clutched her designer purse a little tighter. Anna's hands curled into fists. "We are paying customers." Sonia raised an eyebrow. "Sure you are." Leah took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. "Look, if there's an issue, you can check the system again." "Oh, I don't need to check anything," Sonia snapped, her voice growing louder. "I've been doing this job for 20 years. I know when someone's trying to pull a fast one." Anna and Leah looked at each other, their faces a mixture of disbelief and frustration. "This is ridiculous," Anna muttered, taking out her phone. "I'm calling our father." Sonia let out a scoff. "Your father? And who exactly is he?" Before Anna could answer, Sonia did something neither of them expected. She tore the tickets in half. Gasps rippled through the passengers nearby. Leah's mouth fell open. Anna felt her chest tighten, heat rushing to her face. "You can't," Leah's voice wavered. "I just did." Sonia's expression remained indifferent. "Now step aside." The humiliation settled like a weight on Anna's shoulders. Her whole body burned, not just with anger, but with disbelief. This wasn't just a mistake. This was deliberate. Someone cleared their throat nearby. Excuse me." A man holding a smartphone stepped forward, camera pointed right at them. Michael Evans, mid-30s, casual blazer, sharp gaze. I think you just tore up two perfectly good first-class tickets, he said, his voice steady but pointed. Sonia's eyes flickered toward him, her mouth tightening. Sir, this does not concern you. It does when it looks like you're kicking people off a flight for no reason, he countered. And I've got the whole thing recorded. A murmur of interest rippled through the small crowd. Some passengers were watching now, a few held up their own phones, ready to hit record if needed. Sonia squared her shoulders, her voice lowering. These young ladies do not have valid tickets. Michael raised an eyebrow. Then why'd you rip them up instead of scanning them? A flicker of uncertainty passed over Sonia's face, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. Sir, I would appreciate it if you didn't interfere. Michael smiled, but there was no warmth in it. And I would appreciate it if you stopped humiliating people for no reason. Anna's fingers clenched around her phone, the words "this isn't happening" looping in her head. But it was. Security guards started approaching, two men in dark uniforms. One leaned toward Sonia. Everything all right here? Sonia nodded quickly. Yes. These two young ladies were attempting to board first class without valid tickets. Anna turned to the guards, her voice sharp with controlled fury. That's a lie. One of the guards held up a hand. Ma'am, do you have proof? Leah's voice trembled with anger. We would if she hadn't just destroyed our tickets. Silence stretched. One of the guards looked at Sonia. Did you actually tear them up? Sonia's face darkened, but she didn't answer. Michael let out a chuckle. Yeah, she did. And now she's hoping no one calls her out on it. Anna inhaled sharply, her voice shaking but unwavering. We're not leaving. Leah's eyes burned. We belong here. Sonia exhaled through her nose, turning toward one of the security guards. Escort them out. The guard hesitated but eventually nodded. Miss, you'll have to step away from the gate. Anna and Leah stared in disbelief as the guards took a step toward them. And just like that, they were being forced to leave. Michael's phone was still up, still recording. This, he muttered under his breath, is about to go viral. Anna and Leah Carter stood outside the gate, stunned, humiliated, furious. The security guards hadn't dragged them away, but they had firmly escorted them out, leaving them stranded near a row of empty airport chairs, far from the first-class boarding area. The flight was taking off without them. Anna clenched her jaw. She ripped up our tickets and treated us like criminals. Leah exhaled slowly, trying and failing to steady herself. I swear to God, if she acts like she didn't do anything wrong. She will, Anna snapped. And they'll cover for her. A buzzing sound interrupted them. Anna looked down at her phone, 10 missed calls from their father. The video was already spreading. Leah's voice was tight with anger. You should answer. Anna didn't hesitate. She swiped to accept. Dad? Henry Carter's voice boomed through the speaker. Where are you? What the hell happened? Anna exhaled sharply. We were kicked off our flight. A pause. A deep, heavy pause. When Henry spoke again, his voice was deadly calm. Explain. Now. Henry Carter's grip on his phone tightened. He was a man known for his composure, for making billion-dollar decisions without so much as a flicker of hesitation. But hearing that his daughters had been publicly humiliated, denied their rightful seats, and treated like frauds, he had never felt such unrestrained fury. Anna and Leah sat in tense silence as the line went dead. He hadn't yelled. He hadn't cursed. But they both knew that meant only one thing: he was about to make sure that Sonia Miller and anyone who had allowed this to happen regretted it. Leah turned to her sister. This is going to be bad. Anna nodded. Good. A few minutes later, the doors leading to the executive section of the airport burst open. A small entourage of Skywings Airlines executives rushed toward them, led by a woman in a sharp navy blue suit, Lisa Palmer, the regional supervisor. Her face was pale, her expression pinched with stress. Miss Carter, she started, her voice forced into a professional calm. I deeply, sincerely apologize for. She didn't get to finish. Because behind her, moving with slow, deadly precision, was Henry Carter. The moment he reached his daughters, the executives took a step back. Anna and Leah stood. Dad. His gaze flickered over them, scanning, checking, making sure they were okay. Then, without another word, he turned his icy glare onto Lisa. Where is Sonia Miller? Lisa hesitated. Sir, she's still. Get her off my plane. Lisa swallowed hard, fumbling for her phone. Of course, sir, immediately. Henry's voice didn't rise, but the weight of his words silenced everyone. Your first instinct was to cover for her. Sir, Did you fire her? Lisa hesitated again. You didn't, Henry said flatly. Because if you had, I wouldn't be asking. His patience was running thin. You have two options, Miss Palmer. Fire her. Or join her. Lisa's throat bobbed as she swallowed. I understand, sir. She turned to one of the executives. Get her off that flight. Now. The executive sprinted toward the gate. Henry turned back to his daughters. You're getting on your flight. Leah frowned. But what about? Sonia Miller is gone. His voice was like steel. Effective immediately. Anna exhaled. And Skywings? The coldest flicker of a smile crossed Henry's face. About to change forever. On board Flight 417, a reckoning. Inside the plane, Sonia Miller was still standing near the first-class cabin, trying to act as though nothing had happened. But the murmurs had grown louder. Passengers kept sneaking glances at their phones, scrolling through something. Michael Evans, still seated, smirked to himself. He had just finished uploading the next clip. Sonia's humiliation wasn't over yet. Then, the intercom buzzed. Ms. Miller, please report to the front of the cabin immediately. Sonia stiffened. She turned slowly, making eye contact with Michael, who lifted his phone slightly in acknowledgement. Her stomach twisted. Walking stiffly toward the front of the plane, she found the lead flight supervisor, Marcus Lewis, waiting for her. His expression was unreadable, but his tone was clipped. Sonia, he said. Step off the plane. Her pulse spiked. Excuse me? Marcus didn't flinch. You're being removed from duty. Passengers stirred in their seats. A few more pulled out their phones, capturing the moment. Sonia forced a laugh. You can't be serious. Marcus stepped closer, his voice lowering. Get off the plane. Sonia's mouth opened to argue, to claim she was being unfairly treated, to say this was all a misunderstanding. But then she saw something over his shoulder, Michael Evans, still recording. This wasn't going away. With stiff, jerky movements, she turned and walked down the aisle. The whispers followed her, the stares burning into her back. For the first time in her career, she was the one being escorted out. And the moment she stepped off the plane, she knew, her career was over. Skywings Airlines corporate office, the aftermath. Henry Carter walked into the corporate office of Skywings Airlines like a storm. The chaos of the media firestorm was still unfolding, but inside the building, every employee had already seen the headlines. Skywings Airlines CEO's daughter's humiliated in racial profiling incident, company under fire. Executives scrambled, some murmuring on phones, others typing furiously on laptops. Henry didn't slow. He strode straight into the conference room where Lisa Palmer and a group of corporate higher-ups were waiting. "Mr. Carter," one of the nervous executives started, but Henry slammed his phone onto the table. The viral video of Sonia Miller tearing up his daughter's tickets played on loop. "Explain," he said, his voice razor-sharp. Lisa swallowed. "Sir, we are investigating." "I didn't ask for an investigation," Henry cut her off. "I asked for an explanation." A different executive, a nervous-looking man in his 50s, cleared his throat. "Sir, we only just saw the video. We don't have all the details yet." Henry's fist clenched. "My daughters were publicly humiliated by my airline. My employee tore up their tickets, accused them of fraud, and had them escorted out like criminals. And I have yet to hear a single valid excuse." Lisa hesitated. "Sir, I understand your frustration." "No," Henry snapped. "You don't." Silence. He exhaled sharply, regaining control of his voice. "I want access to every complaint ever filed against Sonia Miller." Lisa hesitated. "Mr. Carter, Now." Tension thickened the air. Finally, Lisa nodded to one of the executives, who pulled up files on a tablet. As he scrolled, his face paled. Henry narrowed his eyes. "What?" The executive swallowed hard. "There are multiple complaints against her. Racial profiling. Unnecessary aggression towards certain passengers." "But..." He hesitated. "But what?" The executive's voice dropped. "None of them were ever escalated." Henry's blood ran cold. He turned to Lisa. "You knew." Lisa's breath hitched. "Sir, we receive hundreds of complaints." Henry slammed his fist onto the table. "And you ignored the ones that mattered." Silence. Henry exhaled slowly, his voice low but unshakable. "Fix this." Lisa nodded quickly. "Why, yes, sir." Henry's jaw tightened. This wasn't just about Anna and Leah anymore. This was about every single person Skywings had failed. And he was about to make sure they never failed again. Skywings Airlines, the fallout begins. The moment Henry Carter left the conference room, the Skywings Airlines corporate office erupted into chaos. Executives whispered furiously, some scrambling to distance themselves from the scandal, others racing to do damage control. Lisa Palmer, still reeling from Henry's ultimatum, stared at the digital complaints file open in front of her. 72 separate complaints. Some were detailed, with passengers describing the exact same treatment Anna and Leah had endured: dismissal, humiliation, outright discrimination. And yet, none of them had ever led to real consequences. Lisa swallowed hard. This wasn't just an isolated incident. It was a pattern. A pattern that she and the entire system had helped protect. Henry's voice still echoed in her mind. "You knew." And she had. Now, she had a choice: continue protecting the airline's reputation and risk getting dragged down with it, or take responsibility and salvage what little of her own career she had left. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her phone. "Get me the legal team," she muttered. She was going to have to clean house. JFK Airport, the power of social media. Meanwhile, outside the Skywings first-class lounge, Anna and Leah Carter sat at a quiet corner table, their phones buzzing non-stop. The video had gone viral. Michael Evans' recording had been picked up by major news outlets. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok were flooded with outrage. #BoycottSkywings was trending. Leah scrolled through the comments. At Justice for All, so glad this was caught on camera. Imagine how many times it's happened without proof. At FlySmart, I was denied an upgrade by Skywings last year. Guess I know why. At The Truth Hurts, Sonia Miller deserved worse. Skywings better be ready for the consequences. Anna exhaled, setting her phone down. This isn't going away. Leah nodded. Good. It shouldn't. Michael Evans walked over, still holding his phone, clearly amused. You two just became the faces of the biggest airline scandal of the year. Anna raised an eyebrow. You sound a little too happy about that. Michael grinned. Because it means they can't sweep it under the rug. The world is watching now. Leah smirked. Well, if we're going to be in the spotlight, we might as well use it. Anna nodded. Let's go live. Leah quickly set up her phone, and within seconds, their Instagram live stream had thousands of viewers. Anna leaned in toward the camera. Hey, everyone. So, as you've probably seen, we got kicked off our first-class flight for literally no reason. Leah jumped in. But this isn't just about us. This happens to people all the time. The only difference is that this time, the world paid attention. Anna nodded. Skywings Airline says they're investigating, but we're not just going to let this die down. We're holding them accountable. The comments exploded with support. At Call Them Out, yes. Keep the pressure on. At FlyFair. Skywings better make some serious changes. At Exposing the Truth, they only care because it went viral. Let's make sure they actually fix it. Michael chuckled, shaking his head. You two are dangerous. Leah smirked. And we're just getting started. Skywings Airline's emergency meeting. Back at Skywings headquarters, the airline's legal team, PR representatives, and top executives sat in tense silence. Henry Carter stood at the head of the table, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. The head of PR, David Langston, cleared his throat. Sir, this is spiraling out of control. If we don't get ahead of it. Henry cut him off. I am ahead of it. David shifted uncomfortably. The stock is down 12%. Major partners are threatening to pull contracts. We need a public statement. Henry nodded once. We will release a statement. But it won't be a half apology. Lisa Palmer, still shaken, spoke up. What are you planning, sir? Henry's voice was sharp. A complete overhaul of Skywings policies. Every complaint that was ignored is going to be reviewed. Every supervisor who failed to escalate issues will be evaluated. Lisa swallowed. That's a huge undertaking. Henry's gaze turned icy. Then you better get started. The room went silent. Finally, David spoke again. And what about Sonia Miller? Henry's lips curled into a cold smile. She will never work in this industry again. Lisa's stomach twisted. This wasn't just a PR move. Henry Carter was about to burn down the entire system that had allowed this to happen. Sonia Miller, the end of the road. At a cheap hotel near JFK Airport, Sonia Miller sat on the edge of a stiff mattress, staring at her phone. Her inbox was flooded with hate. At Truthseeker88, this is what you get for being a racist. At Justice for Analia, hope you never work again. At X-Flight Crew, I worked with Sonia. She's always been like this. Good riddance. A text popped up. Lisa Palmer, I just resigned. You ruined both of us. Sonia's hands clenched around her phone. It wasn't fair. She had done what she thought was right. Those girls had acted entitled. They hadn't looked like first-class passengers. Had she been wrong? No. She had just been unlucky enough to be caught. But none of that mattered now. Her career was over. And there was nothing she could do to fix it. 3 weeks later, the new Skywings Airlines. In the weeks following the scandal, Skywings Airlines had undergone a transformation. Every employee, from corporate executives to flight attendants, was required to complete new anti-discrimination training. Complaint policies were rewritten, ensuring that no issue would be ignored or buried. And Lisa Palmer, the woman who had let it all happen, had quietly stepped down. Now, at Skywings headquarters, Henry Carter sat at the head of the boardroom table as the new head of ethics and compliance. Miranda Reed delivered her final report. The investigation uncovered 72 discrimination complaints in the past 5 years, Miranda stated. Of those, only 6 were ever properly addressed. Henry exhaled slowly. He had expected this, but hearing it confirmed made his stomach turn. Miranda continued, most of these complaints were dismissed at the regional level. Many cases were eerily similar to what happened to your daughters. Henry's jaw tightened. An executive spoke hesitantly. Sir, the company's reputation has taken a massive hit. We've lost partnerships. Our stock is still recovering. If we keep pushing this. Henry cut him off. If we don't fix this, we lose everything. Silence. Then he leaned forward, his voice measured but unwavering. Skywings Airlines is implementing a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination. Every employee will undergo real training, not just a slideshow and a signature. And any supervisor who covers up a case like this again will be fired. No warnings. No second chances. Some of the older board members shifted uncomfortably. Henry didn't care. This was happening. Because for the first time in his career, he wasn't just protecting his company, he was fixing it. Anna and Leah, keeping the pressure on. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Anna and Leah sat at a small cafe, scrolling through the latest news. Skywings Airlines overhauls policies after CEO's daughter's scandal. Fired flight attendant speaks out, I was made a scapegoat. Leah snorted. A scapegoat? Really? Anna rolled her eyes. She ruined her own life. She just doesn't want to admit it. Leah sipped her drink. You think Dad will actually keep his promises? Anna hesitated, then sighed. I think he's trying. Leah nodded slowly. Guess that's all we can ask for. A notification popped up on Anna's phone. Michael Evans tagged you in a post. It was a photo of her and Leah at JFK Airport that day, with the caption. 3 weeks later, the world moved on. But did Skywings actually change? Let's keep watching. Anna smirked. Michael was right. This wasn't over. Leah leaned over. You thinking what I'm thinking? Anna grinned. Let's go live. And just like that, they hit the button, because they weren't letting this fight die anytime soon.